Ready, go. Hi guys, this is JJ and Davey from Crypto Grinders, and today we have Matthew from DataBroker DAO. Matthew, could you just give a shout out to our community right here?
Hi everybody, really happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
All right. All right. So Matthew, could you tell us a little bit about DataBroker DAO, and just tell us some basic about the company and about the project?
Yeah, sure. So the DataBroker DAO is a peer-to-peer marketplace for buying and selling sensor data. The context in which that is relevant is that today, individuals, companies, researchers, governments around the world, they're all spending hundreds of billions of dollars on sensors. So that's their deployed network to gain intelligence about their operations, about the environment, for research topics, whatever it might be. There's a lot of money being spent on this, and the way that what happens with the data when it comes off the sensor is that it's stored locally, often never to be accessed again by the owner of the data, but certainly not to an interested community of data buyers out there. So what DataBroker DAO does is creates the marketplace, the opportunity for that data to be sold to interested third parties.
Right. So why do companies then buy sensor data? What's the purpose of it?
Yeah. So they're right now, and that's a great question because the market today for companies that are procuring data, then enriching it with an algorithm that they have, or aggregating it to something that's useful for their audience. There's a whole industry around this that is a bit behind the scenes, but today there are about 5,000 companies that do that, and they are generating revenues of about 150 billion US dollars per year. So there's a very large market, and what are they using that data for? Well, they're, for example, creating bespoke studies for climate change, things like that, looking at how to optimize the flow of traffic in a city. So there are companies that are really specialized in pulling out the data, teasing out the insights that are needed to make a value-added service for environmental purposes, for the quality of life in cities, for example, for a number of purposes, but those are just a few examples.
Right. All right. So this is some of the questions from my team. So how is DataBroker DAO different from Streamer or IOTA in this sense?
Yeah, I think that if you look at let's say the approach that we take versus the approach that others take, we're very cognizant of the fact that there are already globally close to 9 billion sensors that are deployed and they're out there. That figure is expected to grow to around 32 billion within 3 to 4 years. So the market of sensors that are already deployed and operating and populating the world everywhere around us, this exists and it works on existing infrastructure. So what DataBroker is doing is tapping into the existing infrastructure that exists and supports all of these sensors that are connected and are emitting data today. And we're not trying to replace that infrastructure layer. So we sit on top of the existing infrastructure. And of course, what that means is that, as these other technologies that are looking at replacing more at an infrastructure level, that's going to take time. That's going to take years to actually start gaining, let's say, a meaningful market share for connectivity for sensors. And what DataBroker is doing is working with existing infrastructure rather than trying to replace it. That's at a fundamental level, the biggest difference between what we're doing and what the other projects are doing.
Right. Wow. Okay. So, how does DataBroker DAO then pull together the sensor data, that is currently being locked away by the sensor owners on a mass scale?
Yeah, sure. And our model is working together with gateway operators. So in our model, it's really focused on what are those points in today's IoT sensor connectivity infrastructure that act as kind of natural choke points where a number of data from millions of sensors come through a gateway before they're distributed back to the sensor owner. Now, those gateways are, for instance, owned by telecommunications companies. They quite often operate as providing connectivity services to sensor owners. So we partner with them. For them, there's no infrastructure cost because they already have all the infrastructure to deploy DataBroker. Right. And what we do is we work with them, instead of trying to connect with 1 million or 2 million sensor owners directly, we work with that natural choke point in the current infrastructure.
Right. Okay. Okay. So what is the working relationship between DataBroker and Sigfox, right? So are they your provider partner for sensor data, or, Yeah. So
Yeah.
what's the partnership like? Yeah.
Yeah, so for Sigfox, they operate a partner network. I think there are around 600 partners in their network, which gives us access to a lot of the sensor manufacturers that are working with the Sigfox network. And importantly for us, not just the sensor manufacturers, because that would, we don't want to necessarily go right to the sensor manufacturer level, but Sigfox network is powered by network operators or Sigfox operators as well. So in different countries, there are entrepreneurs that have set up networks for the routers and things for the Sigfox network to work, and we're partnering with them. So we have we're part of the Sigfox partner network, which gives us a really close access to a lot of the players in the Sigfox network itself.
Right. So, Matthew, this is just our context, right? But I was just wondering, what is your background, previously, or in previous companies or the previous projects that you are so aware of sensor data and about sensors? Do you mind just sharing a little bit of your history, on your background?
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So with every team, there's the expertise that each member has. My background is I've spent some time as an entrepreneur in the past. I had a few companies, worked for quite some time in the financial services sector for an investment bank in Belgium called KBC Securities. That was when I came into blockchain technologies, and I'm explaining my history just so that it's clear for everybody. Yep. I'm not a sensor expert, but of course that's why we complement the team with those experts in those areas. Right. So my background is more financial services, investment banking, and I was an internal specialist at wearing the hat of a blockchain specialist within that bank, looking at capital markets applications for blockchain technologies. Right. In that capacity, we were the first European bank to launch a publicly available blockchain-based application. Then I set up a company called Settlement, and DataBroker is a product of Settlement. And so we've got a very strong team at Settlement on the blockchain side. And our expertise within the team, the broader team of advisors for IoT sensors, is complemented by a gentleman called Julian. And Julian is an IoT expert within one of the telcos here in Belgium.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned Settlement, right? So what is the competitive edge that Settlement can provide for DataBroker, to expand its project? So you mentioned Settlement has a lot of blockchain experts. I get that. So what is there to provide for? What has, what assistance or how long has Settlement been around? So could you just share a little bit on Settlement as well?
Yeah. So Settlement has been around since August of 2016. So we're just over 18 months. And Settlement is a company that focuses on supporting enterprise to adopt blockchain technology. So we are a software company that produces middleware for blockchain technologies. And the key aim there is to make blockchain technologies fully accessible to the average developer. And now of course, what we have with Settlement is a very modular middleware technology. And of those modules, and we've used those to build a DataBroker. So we have a marketplace functionality within our tool set and a number of other components from our toolbox at Settlement that are being used to create the DataBroker DAO platform. Just one last thing I would say about the quality of Settlement as a company behind DataBroker. We were second place in the European FinTech Awards for the blockchain track last year. Also winner of the second place actually for the Startup Award for Belgium. So we've got a very strong company behind DataBroker, fully committed to, and already you can see it. One thing that I think that separates us a bit is that we've already got a product. It's launched. It's been available since in a beta version since January of 2017. So already more than a year, DataBroker has been out in the public, and and that's a testament to the capabilities of the team at Settlement.
Right. So how are you ensuring that data that provided in your marketplace suit the market needs?
Yeah, and this is a great question because I think that it's really important to understand about DataBroker is that it's a marketplace. We are not ourselves acting in a way whereby we would try to prevent certain types of data. From a marketing perspective, of course, we will pursue certain types of data. But for us, the key thing is that this is a peer-to-peer and distributed marketplace. The market will determine what is the suitable data and what is not. When we have requests for specific types of data to find companies that might want to join into DataBroker, we will do that. But we really believe in creating this as a decentralized marketplace where the market will determine the needs. And one of the things we're building in later in our roadmap is to add that functionality to ask for specific types of data for sensor owners that are already connected, and to post requests for new types of data.
Right. Okay. So next question is about security, right? So what is the level of security infrastructure that you have implemented to ensure that the safety of data that's hosted in your marketplace is always secure?
Yeah, again, that's one thing I think it's really important to understand with the model of DataBroker, and is that it's not storing the data, which is really key. We act as a marketplace, but we do not store the data. So the security is between the buyer of the data and how they're storing it. They've purchased it, so it's up to them to store it securely. Then on the sensor owner side, of course, they're already storing the data, so it's whatever security measures they're taking. So just once again, we do not store the data.
Yeah. So it's hosted in your marketplace, right?
Correct. Yeah.
All right. So how are you going to encourage or incentivize companies, to come on board on your platform, on this marketplace?
Yeah, and I can just give a couple of examples that maybe to convince companies. Like if you look at I've spoken at another application or let's say use case area is in the area of agriculture, which is a very rapidly evolving and the let's say the methods being developed for smart farming are really quite impressive. But of course, what it means for the farmer is that he's investing quite a lot in sensors to populate his farm to gain 2, 3, 4% increases in yield to manage the farm in a more effective way. Now, the message towards the farmer is great. You've invested quite a lot in that. Now, you can sell the data that you're willing to sell. It's not something that there's no obligation to, of course. The farmer can select which data points he wants to sell or the data from which sensors he wants to sell. He prices it. And for him, it's a way to recoup the cost of the investment he's made. And he can decide whether he uses that to diminish or to increase his revenue. Or he can decide to invest that further into new sensors and new intelligence that can be gained from the farm. So what we essentially, and it's kind of, that's a farming example, but it goes across the board. For people to incentivize people to put their sensors on the platform, that's essentially presenting them with the opportunity to create, turning an expense into a revenue stream, which is a really compelling story for a lot of businesses. That there are a lot of businesses that run on 2-3% margins, very razor thin margins. Now, if they have an additional revenue stream that they can add simply by connecting to the platform, that's quite an attractive story to a lot of the alliance members, for example, that we're talking to now.
Right. Okay. So I think this question is a question that is very common with a lot of different projects, right? So what is the utility of DataBroker token then?
Yeah. So the DTX token has two functions. The first is the token used for buying and selling data. So that's a rather straightforward use case, and the utility is there. The second one is for staking. So one of the first questions when we put the platform live back in January 2017, some of the first questions we got were, how do you secure the quality of the data? If you're not storing it, you're not checking it, how do you secure the quality? Well, my answer to that is you have to get the incentives right within the system. And the utility of the DTX token in that regard is that if I'm a sensor owner and I post, I connect my sensors connected, I stake DTX tokens to secure and to commit to the quality of my data. If I'm the purchaser of the sensor data, if I want to challenge the quality of the data, I also stake. And in the arbitration process that's launched there forward, it's decided whether the quality of data, whether the claim is correct or the data is correct. And based on that process, the reward of the stake goes to let's say the correct one. So either to the claimer or to the sensor owner. So the two key utilities, just to summarize: buying and selling data, and staking.
Right. So is there a minimum for staking, or there's no minimum number?
It's a token curated registry that we're using it within.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you stake, the higher you come in search results.
Right. So there's like a reward, right? For the more I stake, in that sense.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So which country then is in the pipeline right now? Are we just in the European region, or what's next?
Yeah. So I mean, we're really actively, and have been for the past just over a year now, been promoting the product in Europe, most notably in Belgium, Germany, the UK. We have also been promoting it quite a lot in the Middle East, so in Dubai and Saudi Arabia in particular. I've also been to Korea once to present DataBroker DAO as well. But I think the most interest that we're generating right now is Europe and Middle East.
Right. Okay. Right. So Matthew, last question for the day. Right. So any dates to note as of now? Which important dates are we to note? Right. If you would like to invest in the DataBroker DAO. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have our public pre-sale is running right now. That's going until the 26th of April.
Mm-hmm.
There is a 10 ETH minimum for that, but it comes with a 50% reward, a bonus for the tokens. The second date to remember is from the 26th there forward, is that the public sale is beginning. So 26 until May 26th. And there is no minimum at that point. And on the very first day, there's a 10% bonus. So important to note, April 26th, the pre-sale is closing. There forward until the 26th of May is the public sale.
All right. Okay. That is all that I have for Matthew. Matthew, anything else you want to add for DataBroker DAO?
I would just say, look, if you're interested in the area of sensor data, if you recognize that this data is the new gold in the society that we're evolving towards, join us. Be part of our Telegram group. Check us out at databrokerDAO.com, and happy to be on this journey with you.
All right, thank you, Matthew. Folks, for whatever that Matthew has just mentioned in terms of the website, I'll be putting the links below in our YouTube channel, so you could take a look when you have the time when you're viewing this video. All right, so thank you so much, Matthew. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for sharing with DataBroker DAO. Yep. So have a great day. Yeah, Matthew. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye bye.